just want to come on here and explain why the black man can't make it. Because this is the current order that we're in. Now, the current order we're in, if we look at the race pyramid, we are under the dispensation of the white supremacists. I can't even say the word. They are the ones who are in control. And if we look at the race pyramid, we'll see that this is where we are, guys. This is where this is where the global system of control, the global system of politics, the global social order places us at the bottom of the pyramid. As we are still seen as slaves, we are still seen as the workers, the unskilled labor. Now, right after this, we get the rich black people. So in case you're wondering, why can't our African leaders do something? Why can't our African billionaires do something? Why can't Obama set, black America free? You think so? Because no matter how rich you are, no matter how successful you are, no matter how quote unquote powerful you think you are, all black people, this is as high as you'll get. This is it. And so we'll see that most of, the next level of the pyramid is the rich black people, the educated. And also here you get, the poor whites, the poor Asians. They don't get down here. I think the worst people off in the world are the black people. Then you get the Asians, the Chinese, the Indians, there, here. Then you get the corporate whites, the ones that manage the entire system. And you'll see them as the CEOs. You'll see them as the senior managers. You'll see them as the UN heads of missions, and basically they benefit from white privilege. So you'll see in every developing nation there's always a small clique of, that you call them the senior management. There's always a small clique of white. They might not see themselves as supremacists, but I'd say they're white apologists, and they are here keeping the system running. And at the very top is the elite white. They're the ones who came up with the Freemason order. They're the ones who actually adopted Egyptology, because this race pyramid is basically a replica of the Egyptology mentality, where Pharaoh was at the top, the slaves were on the bottom, and people were distributed, in different ways. Now, when we come back, I'll show you how the race pyramid is actually directly correlated to the Maslow hierarchy of needs. But for now, look at what Pharaoh Egypt looked like and how it never left. These guys went to Egypt, they stole the secret knowledge that was ours, that was there, and now we're living that reality, still enslaved, like 10,000 years later. We'll be right back.
Open up your eyes and see the sun. Open up your spirit and let God in. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up.
Welcome back, guys. This is Africa 101 on the Dr. Mumbi Show. Don't forget to subscribe. We're talking about why can't the black man make it? I'm sick and tired of people thinking that, somehow, the African isn't brilliant enough, isn't genius enough to make it in this world, when actually he's been booby-trapped to stay at the bottom, whether he's in his own nation, whether he's in Africa, whether he's in Europe, whether he's in the US. And, a lot of people will ask, why do a lot of famous athletes and famous musicians in the US marry white women? It's because of this, guys. They, regardless of how rich and famous they get, they can only reach this level. But if they marry a Kamzungu wife, they can get here. She pulls him up, although, they both pull, he pulls her down. But he somehow, rich black men have been convinced that the only way to really get to the top of the ladder is by marrying a white woman. But you'll only ever get till here. Now, the Maslow hierarchy of needs. Now, why it's important is because Maslow, he was a famous scientist, and he did some research where he looked at, human motivation and human desire. And what he discovered is that there are basic needs that every human has. And these needs and desires, they're on a pyramid. And most people are here in survival mode. And as long as you're in survival mode, you will never, ever climb up to your destiny, because you'll always be contending with this. And he said that once survival is taken care of, then someone was able to move on to the next level on the pyramid. Once security was taken care of, so on, and so forth. And so what we see is that as a black people, as an African people, people have needed, the elite have needed to keep us at the bottom of the barrel, providing resources for cheap, both human resources for cheap, both our material and natural resources of the continent for cheap, providing, all kinds of free labor, free thought, free energy. So what they do is they keep Africa and they keep Africans in survival mode. We're always concerned about, if you look at most of Africa is poor, it's concerned about clothing, it's concerned about, where they're going to get their food from, where they're going to live. And so they can never aspire to their true destiny because they're still here. Now, most of our leaders, no matter how far they make it, most of our visionaries, most of the successful Africans, both in Africa and across the diaspora, once they make it, their greatest fear, if they're in Africa, their greatest fear is their physical security. So they have to now move out of the hood, move to the leafy suburbs, get security, and they're constantly now trying to protect this new lifestyle. So they can never aspire to much else or even ever hope to reach destiny. Now, that means that our great visionaries don't even have the space to really, pull these guys out with their philosophies, with their ideas, because they're all about security. Now, what you'll see is that love is the next thing. And what you'll see is that Asians, usually they're on this level, which means they're on this level. If you check, you saw in the Egyptology, this level was basically the shopkeepers, the traders, the people who keep the system going. They interact between the elite and, the slaves. And so, because the elite created this middleman because they never wanted to have to deal with, the black people who they felt were inferior to them. And so what happens is that you'll find most Asians are caught up with culture, with love, and so they're kind of in this space. But now, once you've dealt with love, once you've found your security and you've dealt with love, then you come into self-esteem. Who am I? What kind of lifestyle do I want? Quality of life, paternity leave. These are when these issues come, 4-day work week. Because you're here now. You're thinking of self-esteem. You're actually able to think about yourself, think about, your beyond your basic needs to what brings you happiness, what brings you peace, but not really being able to shape the world or take any kind of dominion. And what you find is that most of the Mzungus, most of the white people are on this level where they're apologists because they're just at the level where they can't think about destiny, whether their own destiny or even global destiny, but they're just thinking of they're getting their self-esteem together. They're thinking about, who am I? Why am I here? They're stuck here. Then now, the elite, they're the only ones who are planning destiny. They're the only ones who, all these other desires are taken care of by this system they have created. And so you know what? They're the ones who are planning. And you'll see, if you do your research, you'll realize that, the US has a foreign policy plan for Africa that is 50 years ahead, 100 years ahead. Do we even know what we'll be doing in 50 years? We don't even know if we'll be alive then. We can't even fathom having a plan for any nation, let alone our own nation, for 100 years. That's why we are currently in the order of these people, because they have booby-trapped this system to keep people underneath so that at the end of the day, we're not even hitting destiny. So we are submitted to the Mzungu people's destiny, to the white destiny, which puts us down here. Now, the only way that African people can escape this system, this current global order, is by creating a new system. There is no way we will rise. It doesn't matter how much money you get. It doesn't matter what democratic system you put in place. It doesn't matter, what corporation you create, what technology you get. You'll see all technology is stolen. I mean, we invented, a black person invented M-Pesa. So many things have been invented by black people, and yet they're stolen. And so it never trickles down. We will never climb up. And so if we want to be free as an African nation, first of all, we must understand this is the global order that rules us today. And secondly, we must find a way supernaturally to get in sync with the Most High so that we can move from survival to destiny. It will take a supernatural act, but we are in Genesis times, we are in revival times, and anything is possible. Stay woke.